There is a limit, given the relative size of our economies, to the extent to which we should match U.S. tariffs. There is a limit, full stop. There is a limit to matching these tariffs dollar for dollar, given the fact that our economy is a tenth the size of the United States.
Well, welcome to the country, Mr. Carney. It's about time you understood that there is no way in the world that we can hold our own against an economy that is 10 times our size. And as a result of having an economy that is 10 times our size, there's no way in the world that the EU is going to take our steel over their steel, because the American steel will be less expensive. And because it is 10 times the amount of production, they're going to be able to make more of it. You have led us down this horrible path of a trade war for reasons that are ideologically driven. Somehow you think you're going to get even with Donald Trump. Somehow you think that, well, Donald Trump says that you'll be a lot easier to work with. And I can believe him, because the Liberal Party, for all of their tough talk, is very weak. They have weak leadership. They have weak fortitude. They don't have the ability to make themselves understand what the Canadian people are going through. So it's not just weak on one front, it's all over the place. And they will capitulate to Donald Trump the second that he decides to give them a phone call. Nowhere in any of this is Mark Carney going to lead us into economic prosperity. Quite the opposite, as a matter of fact. Based on his own words and his own rudimentary understanding of Canada, we are doomed. We are looking at least a 10-year struggle. If we don't break into a recession or a full-on economic collapse, I will be surprised. I truly will be surprised if we follow any of the policies that are currently laid out in lieu of all of the changes that are happening around globally. In spite of Mark Carney's insistence that somehow holding on to the green philosophy is going to return 5 years from now, 4 years from now, when the Americans have another election. It's not just the American economy that is turning against the far left policies. It's not just the American country that's turning against the far left policies. People are moving against the far left in the UK and in France and in Germany, in Sweden, in Norway. Many of these countries have already turned against the policies. Norway has already amped up its oil production. And I think that, leaving all of that aside, that we as Canadians need to appreciate that this is not going to be the solution. This man is not going to be the solution to our problems. How can we be following the same policies that got us here and somehow think that it's going to get us out this time? The very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and somehow thinking it's going to give you a different result. It's not going to give us a different result. It's going to give us the same results. The standard of living will continue to plummet in Canada. It's only a minute until we start to have food shortages. It's only a second until we start to have fuel shortages because we can no longer meet our bills, or because some bank somewhere has decided that our credit rating needs to be leveled down and our interest rates as a result, the payments that we're making on those have gone up, and we are not producing anything in this country. So we're going to need to try to borrow money against it. And this I can show you 100 countries in the last 25, 50 years where this exact thing has played out, where they think that everything is going to be hunky-dory fine until the people that lend them the money have come forward and said, it's time for you to give us back, because the policies that you've implemented have not worked out the way that you claimed that they would. It's no different when you borrow money from a bank for a business model, a business plan. You say to them, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. And when they turn around and say, well, you're not making any of the money, what are we doing about our loans? This is not a secret. There's nothing about this that a rudimentary understanding of economics wouldn't inform Mark Carney. Of course, Mark Carney, it appears more and more that he either is ideologically driven and that's going to help him make a lot of money, or it's just going to be that he's going to help him make a lot of money while you and I suffer at our expense. We're the ones that are paying the price for it. We're the ones that are not going to have the jobs. We're the ones that are not going to have the affordable places to live. We're not going to have the food that's being manufactured. Don't forget, one of the largest polluters, according to Mark Carney, is agriculture. It's greenhouses and farmers and cattle. They're one of the largest polluters. I know I said steel and aluminum, but let's not forget that they put they put so much carbon tax on Canadian food. The stuff we get from China and Mexico comes across the continent or across the world, and it can be purchased cheaper in Canada than Canadian of the same food grown in Canada. And you want me to believe that the carbon tax is a good philosophy because ideologically you hope one day that it's going to show the Americans what green steel looks like? Come on. And on top of all of that, let's not forget that it's not we have, Dofasco, they always talk about. It's an international company. They got steel mills all over the world. It's not like it's a Canadian steel company or an American steel company. They go where the money is because the product is the product. And it's very heavy, and they try to keep moving it in short distances because that way they save money on transportation. Now, I don't want to, keep this going with the understanding of the logistics around the industries that Mark Carney is talking about, but I do absolutely want you to realize that one of the things that he's going to be targeting, one of the things that this gas off the pump, this 21% carbon tax that he's rolled back to zero, one of the first people he's going to hit are the people that make our food. Now, people in Mexico, they don't have that problem. People in China that bring our food, they don't have that problem. People in India that are importing food into Canada, the same food that's grown in Canada, they don't have that problem. Mark Carney is dangerous. He's not going to help this country, and his philosophies and his policies are going to lead us further down the pathway of ruin. I ask you, as you listen to this, is that something that you're willing to agree to? Are you prepared to give up every luxury you ever had and live like they do in the third world so that Mark Carney's vision of a small little market that's 10 times smaller than the American market? I mean, what can we hope to, what impact can we hope to have? If we all went to carbon neutral right now today, how much impact do you really believe that's going to have against the billion people in Asia that are throwing carbon up into the air with reckless abandon, without a single concern about it being filtered, without a single concern about what it does or where it goes or any of that? What footprint can we honestly hope to have against those staggering amounts of numbers? All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.